Well, I'm Shannon Rubicam.
I'm George Merrill.
We are from the band Boy Meets Girl, better known as the songwriters for How Will I Know, along with Narda Michael Walden, and the writers of I Want to Dance with Somebody Who Loves Me, both sung by Whitney Houston.
I'd say the first impression was she was young, she was a sprite, she was vivacious,
Really poised,
poised.
unusually poised, and especially considering the enormous amount of attention coming her way at that point. She was, when we first met Whitney, it was the only time we've met her. It was very brief, backstage at the Greek Theater in Los Angeles. And she had, I think it was her first tour.
Yeah.
She had performed How Will I Know? And everyone had gone crazy in the audience and stood up and applauded. And, she was just so star-like. But I think when we went backstage, she was with her parents.
Yeah, that's what I remember.
And I just realized how young she was and what a big deal it was for her to go on tour and handle all of this all at once.
Yeah, we shared a great hug and we danced around up backstage, and I think my impression at that point was this 19-year-old. The weight of the world, the weight of stardom hadn't really hit yet. So we had the good fortune to meet her at that time and with her folks. So it was a pretty special thing for both of us, I think.
Mine would be indirect. Well, for one, seeing her at the Greek Theater when she started into singing How Will I Know?
Yeah.
Really, seriously, everyone just
Leaped to their
took
feet.
an inhale, stood up, and started,
Yeah.
dancing and singing along, and it
Yeah.
was an exuberant moment.
It was a big deal for us. I mean, we were young songwriters. This was such a big deal. We just had this song in the charts with one of the planet's great singers, and so it was all taken off for us as songwriters as well. So it was just this amazing moment, and then to have the whole audience react that way, it was unusual. Right at that moment, from stage right to stage left, a shooting star went right across the sky. And I turned to see if Shannon had seen the same thing that I saw. And she was sitting down and she had pulled out her notebook and she'd written down "Waiting for a Star to Fall," which is the title for a future song that we had as our band, Boy Meets Girl. Yeah.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah.
Another thing was, initially we didn't really know who Whitney was, of course. She was someone that Clive Davis was working with and mentoring. And obviously he knew she had massive star quality, but we didn't know anything about her. But we had some friends who worked with Narda Michael Walden, the producer on the song. And George answered the phone one day, landline at the time.
Yeah.
And so he answered the landline, and it was our two friends saying, "You guys have to hear this."
Yeah,
So you have to tell them.
he held up the phone, and you didn't have to put the phone up here. It was Whitney Houston's voice coming out of the phone. It was just like, "How will I know if he," except an octave up, and it was just an amazing moment. The phone was complaining.
Yeah, so that was our first time we really heard Whitney and on our song, and we just freaked out. I mean, who could ask for more?
Yeah.
And then shortly after the song came out, we lived in Venice, California, and it was a warm day. Our living room windows were open, and a car went by also with their windows open, and How Will I Know was blaring out the window, and that Doppler effect,
yeah.
It went driving by. So that was one of those moments where, her voice and the energy of that time and our first song being recorded by a really big star. It was, I just couldn't stand it, really.
It really defined that whole time. Well, as we just told you, it changed our lives to have that whole experience with How Will I Know. But now we'd heard Whitney, and we'd heard, her voice on all the other songs on the first record as well. And so we had a chance to sit back and kind of picture what we heard her sing, what we could hear her, really lighten into, and we always, Shannon and I like to see if we can come up with the brighter, upbeat stuff if we can.
Well, and also we knew that when Clive called and said, we're going to work on a second album, would you submit a song for it? We knew that they would be looking for something upbeat, like How Will I Know, with a pop element to it.
Yeah, we like
that's
to.
what we do.
We like to do that. So we lit into it. We Shannon, I think initially on that one, you came up with the lyric, I believe, for the verse.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so we started developing that, and then the chorus, it developed itself pretty quickly. Actually, it became pretty obvious.
There was a little epic portion to the finishing of that song. We'd gotten it demoed, and George called Clive and said,
"Oh, yeah,
we've got this demo and it's all done. Shall I send it to you?" And Clive said, "Well, I'm at the airport at LAX." And George said, "Well, it's an 8-minute drive to LAX from our house. I could just drop it off to you before you get on your plane." And Clive said, "Sure." So George raced to the airport with a little cassette tape, and in those days you could actually park your car near the curb and not get arrested. You could run through the airport and not get arrested out to the gate.
I'm actually loving hearing you tell the tale, because I'm just thinking cassette tape, 8-minute drive to the airport from our house, TWA,
right?
Just head out to the gate.
Every kind of obsolete thing now.
Yeah, and so it was a whole other kind of era. But I made it there. I made it before his flight, and Clive walks up, and I just hand him the cassette, and I think I said something to the effect of, well, and if you're not interested for Whitney Houston, well, our band, Boy Meets Girl can do it or whatever, and well, Clive let me know how he felt about that, and got on his plane. And it turned out we got a call from him within a week or so, and yeah, he was pretty lit, and off it went.
Well, and then I think at that point he said that Narda Michael Walden would be producing it.
Yeah.
So we felt like, well, then it'll be in the perfect hands.
Yeah. No.
I don't think so. I think, all of the best things happened. It was a solid song to begin with. It ended up, the songwriter's dream is having someone like Whitney sing your song. You couldn't ask for more than that. And then Narda just did this beautiful and exuberant production on it, and
Absolutely.
Clive Davis was guiding the promotion. So really, all of the best things happened. Mm-hmm. We're so fortunate.
And
with that.
At the helm, an iconic singer that she just owned. I Want to Dance with Somebody. Her performance on it was, we've spoken with Nard about it when she was in the studio. He was just blown away with her energy and vitality and everything she put into her performance.
Yeah. Our songwriting mostly begins with me bringing a lyric to George. I usually get those ideas from little scraps of paying attention to what's around me and what's going on, maybe something I've been reading or feeling. And so I just used to keep all these little handwritten notes around, like, the squirrel, like I put the nut over there. And,
Do you still have your notebooks and everything? Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
So I have all these little scraps of paper around and, go through them. But I think, like with I Want to Dance with Somebody, that was just a new idea. And I was thinking about that feeling you get. There's a real change of energy when the day shifts into the nighttime. And I think everybody's familiar with it. And there's kind of a restlessness you feel. And if you aren't feeling at home within yourself or within your home or the people you're around, you get that restless feeling, and you need to get out and just go look for that thing that's going to speak to you.
Yeah.
So it was that kind of an idea that inspired the lyric notion for the verse and the storyline, and then I gave that to George. I probably had most of a verse written and maybe a partial, probably a few lines of the chorus.
Oh, well, my thought was, I appreciated the way Shannon explained that. In thinking about the lyric on "I Want to Dance with Somebody," what I really like that you did was it wasn't just about somebody, dancing with somebody. It was somebody who loves me. That tie that you made, to me that's what made that lyric really, really work. I mean, the song was good, but that adding that "when the night falls, loneliness calls," as you mentioned, it's like, to me that gave it, that thing. And I feel like maybe that's what we were trying to get across. When you asked earlier about, writing for Whitney and writing the song, I think maybe that's what Whitney might have keyed in on. I hope. It sure seemed like it, because she seemed to really own that. So.
The "Who Loves Me" part?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I think it's the most important part of the song.
Yeah.
Because it's what differentiates it from, just a dance song.
Yeah.
Really. It's a questing song.
Right.
For that place that's your heart home.
I mean, it had Narada's exuberance and Whitney's performance, but also it had this yearning, this longing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sorry. That's not ego. It's just I'm laughing because it's a funny idea. I think probably when we'd written the song, we felt confident of what we turned in.
Yeah.
I think we both did. We felt confident of it, but I don't know. What would be the moment, would you say?
Oh, I think it was just a series of events that, like George said, we felt confident about the song, and then we knew Narada was going to produce it.
Yeah, I think that.
So we just knew it was going to turn into a solid track.
Yeah.
Whitney was going to sing it,
Yeah.
and it was going to be well promoted. So it was not going to get lost in a shuffle or anything. We had been focused on Boy Meets Girl, for a good decade before we wrote How Will I Know? And so for us, the music business, living in Los Angeles, was all about Boy Meets Girl and being recording artists. So
Boy
that
Meets
was
Girl.
our first album cover.
Yeah.
Final. All of the, the breadth of what we could do, which is, not just write for our group, but write for other people.
Yeah.
So it kind of took, the main idea for us was always writing for our band and performing and recording, but that sort of became the side story, and writing for Whitney and other people became the main event after that, I would say.
Yeah, I definitely would say. When we're originally, Shannon and I came to Los Angeles from Seattle, so our whole music world as we developed was based around, write some songs so that you can do a record and be artists. And we were achieving that in Los Angeles, and it was really an exciting time for us. It was great. So I think it was a whole process that we went through to really understand the value of being able to help someone such as Whitney Houston, find the song that she can really own. Mm-hmm. That was an exciting thing for us to figure out.
Well, and it was a confidence builder as songwriters, for sure. And then the other thing we realized is that, of course, Whitney Houston's really, really well known, and we never quite reach that pinnacle as a band. So perceptually, from people outside of ourselves, we were two songwriters. In our minds, in our lives, we were still these people striving for our own band.
Yeah.
So there was that sort of interplay of what other people perceived about us and who we felt we were.
And at this point, we're comfortable with 100 likes, and and that sort of thing. We're fine with it. It's okay. It's a whole mix of things. But we are songwriters, and then we're also boy meets girl. So.
I can think of one. This was much later and after the fact, but during COVID pandemic, during the lockdown, I think Italy had it the worst at first, and so people started going out to their balconies on their apartments.
They were all sequestered indoors, and everybody was restless.
And they went out to their balconies, and someone would have a song playing, and then they would all sing along from their balconies. And one of the first ones they did was, "I Want to Dance with Somebody." So to hear people seeking to connect when they've been sequestered, mandatorily sequestered, to watch the ways that they reach out and have your song be part of one of those ways that they sought connection and found it, that was just awesome and unbelievable, and it really touched me. And
just to see, I'm moved right now, because it's just, I think about how I was watching the joy that people were feeling, and to have a role in that means a lot to us.
Mm-hmm. And friends send us like, I was at the LGBTQ parade in New York, or wherever they were, and everybody's dancing in the streets with all their colorful outfits, and they're singing, "I want to dance with somebody who loves me."
Yeah.
It was great. For "I Want to Dance with Somebody," I like the first line, "The clock strikes upon the hour, and the sun begins to fade."
Sets you in a place like that, yeah.
There's still enough time to figure out, so it opens the door on this scenario that we're all familiar with, and I like that approach to it.
Yeah, I do too.
And I like the way the whole song unfolded, really.
Yeah. Feel like it was kind of it set up a moment in time. I think a relatable one for a fair amount of people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There is nobody really who sings like Whitney. She was gifted in so many ways, and had this tremendous voice, and she always seemed so tapped into whatever it was she was singing, and she sang a lot of different styles over the course of her recording career.
Yeah.
But she always was so present with whatever it was that she was singing.
That's a good way to explain it. Yeah.
Yeah.
The way she interpreted it, you just felt the ownership.
Right.
Absolutely.
So you could really hardly go wrong.
Yeah.
With her, really. I mean, my sense of gratitude for her, and I think a lot of people share that feeling, just love and gratitude and respect for Whitney as a singer, as a person, as a performer. She had so much brightness and spark and presence. She was one of a kind.
Yeah.
So she would be the right person.
Do you have any thoughts of your own, or do you feel like she summed it up?
I think Shannon summed it up well. I think the way you said that about gratitude, you kind of took the words out of my mouth in that sense, because I feel, when I think about the arc of how our whole career and lives were going, and we were finding, a modicum of success, and Whitney Houston singing our two songs and her interpretation of those songs taught me so much about just as a producer or arranger, taught me so much about like digging deep in the studio. There are just so many gifts that came out of it, out of her performance, watching where she derived so much joy when she was singing. Oh my gosh, that's like to me, I think that's maybe that's really at the heart of it. It's like that's what you really feel. You feel her pure joy. It's just emanating from her, and I think that's what we all react to when we hear the song come on. Narda, and all the different things that he does to set all that up, absolutely crucial. I just don't think that there's anybody on this planet that's ever done what she was able to do. It was so unique what she presented, and I'm just, I just, like Shannon said, I feel so much gratitude for having the opportunity to have her sing our songs.
Well, first of all, I would say, songwriters today have their own new take. It's a new world. They're in a completely different position in life than we were way back in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not sure how much we could say, except that in any song, just write what you feel, write what you personally are feeling and can relate to, and you feel you have to express out to other people. And, whatever emotion it is, happy, sad, exuberant, silly, angry, whatever it is, just, be true to that.
Oh, yeah. And so many wonderful, powerful hit songs are I feel like this is a renaissance time in music. So many great artists of all kinds,
Mm-hmm.
and great songs. I mean, come on, Silk Sonic, come on.
Well, and the ability, I think, to present these varieties before you were locked into a record company and a radio station and that kind of promotion. And
Yeah.
now there's the internet and digital music and your own channel and your own Instagram. And so you can present this huge breadth of music that probably wasn't accessible before. Now it is.
Mm-hmm.
Well, funnily enough, time makes a song timeless because that tells you whether it was or it wasn't. But I think also, when you have the look back feature, you can say, well, I think what connected was there's a universal feeling and a personal feeling, and they're kind of united in that song. And then you get fortunate and Whitney Houston sings your song, and off it goes to the stratosphere because she is who she is.
Yeah, but what is it? What is that thing? What is that thing that makes it timeless?
Tell us, and then we'll all just patent that.
I mean, we have a conversation. We have an opportunity to have a conversation about it right now. So, I think that it has something to do with connection. It's connection. I think we all want to feel that. We want to feel connection, and that's one of the wonderful things about music, is that if you present a melody in a certain way, everybody can sing it, everybody can get involved in it, and dance to it if you give them the right beat.
Yeah, well, and there are even apparently numerical melodic arrangements that affect our brain more than other melodic arrangements, and so that there's a universality to some of that.
Well, but I can say I think I could give you credit for helping with that timeless thing, because that whole thing that we were talking about earlier about the when the night falls, loneliness calls, I want to dance with somebody who loves me.
Mm-hmm.
There's that we all are searching for that connection, and we want to dance with somebody.